What is up, Bears fans? Welcome to Chicago Bears Huddle podcast, your UK take on our Chicago Bears. Yes, I am English. I've had a few people say already, wow, your accent's weird. Yes, it's because I'm English, guys. It's because I'm here on the wrong side of the pond, or the right side of the pond, depending obviously on your philosophy on life. Personally, would rather be in the United States of America. Love the USA. Love the city of Chicago. Also, those of you who don't know, big Bulls fan, big Blackhawks fan, and big Cubbies fan as well. Someone who grew up watching Michael Jordan, Scottie Pippen, Tony Kukoc, Dennis Rodman, Phil Jackson's Bulls back in the day. Also, first Super Bowl I remember is the '85 Bears Super Bowl, the victory over the Patriots and William the Refrigerator Perry. Right, we're going to talk defense. You know, linking into that, obviously that Bears defense of 85, that dominating defense of 85. We're going to talk all things defense. And the offense is getting a lot of the press and getting a lot of the coverage because, of course, it is. It's, Caleb Williams, it's Ben Johnson, it's Roma Dunze, it's DJ Moore, it's Colston Loveland, it's all Luther Burden, it's Cole Kmet, it's all those players, and it's Ben Johnson, it's Declan Doyle. It's big news. We are going to talk a little bit about the Caleb Williams concerns as well here on the pod tomorrow or tonight or whenever it is. You know what? The time difference messes my head up. You are 6 hours behind us in Chicago, the city of Chicago in the great state of Illinois. We are 6 hours ahead of you here in the UK. So it's actually about 20 to 10 at night whilst I'm recording this video on this Monday night, I think it is. I think it's Monday night here. I still think it's Monday. I keep thinking it's Sunday today. Weird. Anyway, what were we talking about? We were talking about defense, yeah. Now, obviously, the big news over the summer was the recruitment of Dennis Allen to be the Bears defensive coordinator. And as I mentioned on the video earlier, Dennis Allen is someone who comes with an excellent reputation as being one of the foremost defensive coordinators in the NFL. You've only got to look at his New Orleans Saints defense when he was the DC there to see how good he was at his job. And now people talk about innovation, invention, thinking outside the box when it comes to the offense, but I'm sure you will see exactly the same on defense. And this defense does have some exceptionally talented players, and we're going to talk about one in particular in a minute. We're going to talk about Mr. Gervon Dexter very, very shortly indeed. But guys, we're going to talk a little bit of that. We're going to talk also, this defense does have some stars. Yes, it has issues. Yes, there are things that need to be addressed. The edge rusher position, as we mentioned on the video earlier, but we have Montez Sweat, we have Dayo Adeyingbo, we have Grady Jarrett, we have Jalen Johnson, we have Tyreek Stevenson, Kyler Gordon. I love Kyler Gordon. One of my favourite players. My jersey is actually a Kyler Gordon jersey. We have Jaquan Brisker, who, if he can stay healthy, is a fantastic safety. There is, and I'm sure I've forgotten some. There's some quality players on that defense, of course there is. But we're going to talk about Gervon Dexter Senior in particular here on this video. Dexter is. People are talking about him having a breakout season, and he's certainly been singled out for praise by the head coach and by the DC for his work in OTAs. And I know that before anyone says it, OTAs are just football in shorts, and it is not the same as getting smashed in the face in the regular season or the playoffs, hopefully this season. Gervon Dexter was drafted in 2023. He was a second-round pick, and with the 53rd pick in the NFL draft, the Chicago Bears selected Gervon Dexter. Keep getting his name wrong, Gervon Dexter. And obviously, been a second-round player, been a pick 53. You do expect him to be a player who starts, a player who plays, a player who has an impact on that team. He is a big old dude, isn't he? He's 6'5" and 5'8" inches. Often gets rounded to 6'6". He's 310 pounds. He's a big ass guy, isn't he? A big guy. He is a player who, he started the regular season opener in his first season for the Bears. He appeared in all 17 regular season games in 2023. He finished that season with 2.5 sacks, 20 total tackles, 2 passes defended. He is a player who I think, will have a huge impact. Now, Grady Jarrett, when he was interviewed in his presser during the week, spoke about Dexter and how that he had invited members of the defense down to Miami to work with him this summer, which he was exceptionally impressed with. Obviously, Dexter is a native of Florida, hence why those workouts took place in Florida and not Chicago. Jarrett went down and worked for Dexter. Dexter showing, I think what Dexter is showing there, which is fantastic for someone who, is only 23 years old, is showing leadership. He's showing team. He's showing, real collective responsibility by bringing members of the defense together to work out together. And I'm sure there was some sort of kind of reason for, especially for inviting Grady Jarrett. Jarrett will be the man who plays alongside him in theory. You look at that Bears defense, you look at the fact that Jarrett and Dexter will no doubt play alongside each other. And in Grady Jarrett, he has a veteran who he can learn an awful lot from. Grady Jarrett obviously was brought over from the Atlanta Falcons, is a guy who is looking to win and is a guy who really wants to make a huge difference to this Bears franchise. And I'm sure that he is someone who can pass on his vast experience to Dexter. You look at Grady Jarrett, he is a guy who, he's been in the league since 2015. He has 496 total tackles, 36.5 sacks, 5 forced fumbles, 3 fumble recoveries, and 6 pass deflections in his career. We look at the situation, and we're going to do what we did in the earlier video. We're going to do a little swap around. There's that guy again, Passer Noah. We're going to talk the man himself, Mr. Grady Jarrett, not Mr. Grady Jarrett. We're going to talk Gervon Dexter. Of course we are. We're going to talk all about his skills and his abilities. Here he comes, guys, onto your screen now. There he is. I was just too anxious to get the video started. That was the problem. Here he is. This is his 2 seasons in the NFL with the Chicago Bears. He's played 17 games in 2023, 15 games in 2024, so 32 total games out of a possible 34. So people talk about your best ability being your availability, and he certainly had that. Last year, a huge increase on output from Dexter. 15 games played, 51 total tackles, up from 20 tackles the previous season, 23 solos, up by 10 from the previous season, 28 assisted, up massively by 21. 2.5 sacks was doubled into 5 sacks last season. 2 fumble recoveries, 1 pass defensed. He showed improvement. He showed in his sophomore year that step up. He showed progression, and that's what you want to see from these players, from these young players, is progression, steps forward, movement forward. And, Dexter quite clearly showed that last season. And it's to be hoped, with a new DC in Dennis Allen, with teammate like Grady Jarrett, with Diodo Yingbo, with Montez Sweat around, that this is, and Andrew Billings as well, of course, this is another season where Gervon Dexter can take a huge step forward again. The guy clearly has talent. The guy clearly has ability. And like I said, you've had Grady Jarrett talk very clearly about him. You've had Dennis Allen talk about him. And, he is big, he's aggressive, he's strong. He's fairly quick as well. Someone who very much fits into the Dennis Allen scheme. Dennis Allen likes his big, aggressive, attacking players, doesn't he? He likes those players that can come in and really make a difference. And this is a difference maker. Gervon Dexter Sr. is a huge difference maker. He really seriously is. And he's someone I think, can be, a big, big difference. And can, I think, make those steps forward. And under the tutelage of Dennis Allen, under the tutelage, obviously, of Grady Jarrett as well. I think everything is in place for Dexter to have a real breakout season where he can improve his sack numbers. He can really move forward. Now, look, yes, everyone can accuse us of getting carried away at this stage of the season because nothing has yet started. No one is yet wearing pads. No one is yet hitting anybody. And it's just all in the very early days. But, you look at this defensive line now. You've got Montez Sweat. You've got hopefully Diodo Yingbo, who will make a big improvement this season. Sweat will hopefully get his sacks back on. Grady Jarrett, another one who's capable of getting after the passer. And now Dexter as well. A real fearsome front four there. Obviously Jeremy Garrett, who's the defensive line coach, will have a big part to play in this as well. Bill Johnson, who's a senior defensive assistant, also as well, hopefully will have a big part to play in it. But having Dennis Allen on board, I think, will really help Dexter move forward in his career. This is a guy, like I said, who is clearly got the talent. He has clearly got the ability to become a very, very vital part of this Bears defense. And like I said, in Grady Jarrett, the perfect person to learn alongside. You've got to give Ryan Poles, who doesn't get a lot of credit, some credit for bringing Jarrett on board. Guys, let me know your thoughts about Gervon Dexter and what you believe will happen this coming season. I believe that he is set for a big improvement and a big move forward. Thank you for watching the Chicago Bears Huddle podcast. As always, if you've enjoyed the content, please like, comment, share, and subscribe. And let's keep winding those Packers, those Lions, and those Viking fans up. Gotta say, hate the Packers, hate the Lions, hate the Vikings. Especially after Caleb's comments. And we are going to talk Caleb, don't worry, at some point. Thanks for watching. Let's remember, bear down. Catch you later, Chicago.